This is the lottery code word presentation for the lottery code words generated by the California SUPERLOTTO drawing on Saturday, August the 6th, 2011. And doing things a little bit differently this time because I had a fairly unusual experience related to these results that I wanted to present prior to showing you the actual code words. I'm going to read a couple of dream journal entries. The first one is from August the 10th, 2010. That's a year ago. The audio cues were Ketonia Hypnosis Lucid Dream Session. And the entry is, had first lucid dream in more than a year, woke up too soon to see lottery code words, but went into a normal dream that was about a gorilla in a moat at the zoo. Also had dream about railroad tracks running down the middle of my street. That was the first dream journal entry I'm citing. The next dream journal entry was actually from a few days earlier. It's dated August the 5th, 2010. And the audio cues were Rose's reply to the July 16, 2010 lottery code words, plus Rose recites her lottery numbers. And the dream dreamt about Tom Felton as the manager of an auto factory where several workers were killed due to poor safety conditions. He is being chased by angry workers. He is trying to escape. There is some kind of a force field fence surrounding the factory. You have to enter a security code to get through. Some of the auto workers were crushed by sitting in convertible top cars that got crushed by testers jumping on the car roofs. Okay, so that is what I dreamt about back on August the 5th and August the 10th of 2010, a year ago. Now the field consciousness event that I was focused on for the weekend of August the 6th was Rise of Planet of the Apes, which is a movie that I did not know even existed prior to June of 2011. I just happened to see the first movie trailers, previews of Rise of the Planet of the Apes when I went to a movie sometime in June 2011. I don't recall the exact date. Doesn't really matter. The point is that I had no idea that there was such a movie in production. I've always wondered what happened following the Tim Burton reimagining of Planet of the Apes that came out in, I believe it was 2001. I always wondered, because there was implicit in the ending of that movie that there would be a sequel on the way, and boy, it certainly took a long time for that sequel to show up. But it was, I guess, worth the wait, because it was a really, really good movie, Rise of Planet of the Apes. So let's, of course, another very important point to appreciate here is that the first time I saw Rise of Planet of the Apes, I didn't realize that Tom Felton was in the movie. Of course, we all know Tom Felton as Draco Malfoy. Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter movies. Not in the habit of having dreams about Tom Felton or Draco Malfoy for that matter, so it struck me at the time as kind of odd that I would be having a dream about him. But, I just write down whatever I dream about and see where it leads. In this case, the point is that when I first saw the movie and I saw the character that Tom Felton was playing, I didn't even realize it was him because he looks quite different. I had this vague impression, this guy looks really familiar, but I can't quite place where I've seen him before. Because, of course, he doesn't have the sort of bleached white blonde hair that we see him in the Harry Potter movies. He's got a more natural looking blonde hair. And of course, also he was affecting an American accent in Rise of Planet of the Apes, so you wouldn't necessarily recognize him as even the same person from the Harry Potter movies. So yeah, it wasn't until I actually saw the movie, the credits at the end of the movie, that it occurred to me, oh my gosh, that was Tom Felton. I didn't even realize. Let's just go ahead and take a look at the code words now. The lottery code words for the California SUPERLOTTO drawing on Saturday, August the 6th, 2011 are cellular, imbalance, thesis, damned proficient clamoring. And I should have mentioned before when I was talking about the dream journal entries that I haven't had a dream about a gorilla prior to the August 10th, 2010 dream since I can recall doing dream journal entries. In fact, I haven't had a dream about any kind of ape prior to the gorilla dream since a dream I had about a chimpanzee in April of 2009. I checked my records, and that was the only previous dream about an ape that I have a record of. So, what to make of this? This is the sort of thing that really kind of keeps me going, because, of course, as I've told you on several occasions, my interest is not simply to try to win the lottery, it's to try to understand how precognition works and how can it be utilized to create an artificial means of receiving messages from the future. And this is key about this, because in a dream situation where you have a dream that clearly is predicting events in the future, and I will explain, if you haven't already seen Rise of Planet of the Apes, why I think that the dream about Tom Felton in particular was predicting events in the movie. But the point is that, whereas with the results of the lottery code words themselves, there is, aside from the rather flimsy argument that it's all random chance, which I do not accept, I think that As with all sorts of psi research, the dismissal that it's random chance is just a lazy man's excuse for not wanting to bother to understand what's really happening here. But the point is that whereas with the lottery results, there's a uncertainty as to how much of these apparent predictions, predictive dreams, are actually predicting a result that was going to happen inevitably, or are the predictions, in a sense, actually psychokinetic influences that are causing a particular set of lottery code words to come up, or in the case where I'm actually affirming a particular set of numbers, clearly that is a form of psychokinetic influence upon the results. But that's with predicting lottery results. So it's a special case of precognition, whereas when you have a dream that is predicting some big event, whether it's an earthquake or an assassination, or in the case of a particular unique set of circumstances occurring involving a particular celebrity, and there's no way that you could have influenced those events occurring, even, I mean, I suppose if you assume that I had omnipotent godlike powers to manipulate who gets cast in movies and what movies get made and what particular events are depicted in particular movies, then sure, I could claim that I made all of that happen. But I'm not claiming that. I'm saying that obviously I had a dream that predicted specific events a year before they actually came true, not necessarily before they actually were filmed. I'm sure that this movie, given the amount of time it obviously took to do all the CGI for the apes and all the other aspects of the movie, since I'm sure that the landscapes and the various effects that occur in the course of the movie were all took a very long time to be created. So I would imagine this movie was in production well before August of 2010. But notwithstanding that, the information was received approximately, almost exactly, in the case of the Tom Felton dream, a year prior to my actually seeing the movie. So that fits nicely with my previous stated point that often, very often, precognitive dreams occur a year before the actual event occurs, which implies some sort of interaction between the gravitational fields of the sun and the earth in influencing psychic phenomena. And as I've also stated many times, I believe that psychic phenomena is intrinsically related to gravitational fields. I don't claim to know exactly how, but I believe there is an intimate relationship there. But then there's also obviously some kind of relationship between psychic phenomena and electromagnetic fields, because the brain is an electromagnetic mechanism, a living mechanism, but its thought impulses are electrical in nature, and so there's no getting around the fact that any explanation for psi phenomena has to account for the electrical component of thought processes. And I believe that when you address string theory and M theory, where you have the theoretical inner relationship between electromagnetism and gravitational fields, then you can possibly explain that this is the interface between thoughts and how psychokinesis, and assuming that telepathy or precognition as signals being transmitted through space and time are actually of a gravitational nature, some sort of a gravitational field pulse or field signal, obviously very, very weak field signal, but perhaps not. Perhaps the whole point of M theory is that even though in our four-dimensional space-time frame gravitational fields are weak compared with electromagnetism and the other nuclear forces, in higher dimensions of space and time gravitational fields can be stronger, and so what seems like a weak signal or field in four-dimensional space-time is actually possibly much more powerful as it works its way through the 11-dimensional supergravity fields. Anyway, getting back to Rise of Planet of the Apes, these code words that came up, cellular imbalance thesis, damned proficient clamoring, all arguably related to aspects of the movie itself. It involves a form of pharmaceutical research using apes as the test subjects, which goes back to the dream I had where you have the people being crushed in cars as the testers are jumping on top of the cars. Of course, in the course of the movie, we have scenes where we have rampaging apes jumping on top of cars and crushing the roofs of the cars. They don't actually explicitly show people getting killed, but one might assume that there are certain fatalities as a result of the rampaging apes jumping on top of cars. And then in the context of the movie, the scientific research involving retroviruses that manipulate the DNA, cellular DNA, and supposedly are being used to produce a cure for Alzheimer's disease. And so cellular imbalance thesis sort of fits with that whole research aspect. And then damned proficient clamoring. Well, what happens is that the apes that are used as the test subjects for the Alzheimer's cure become hyper-intelligent and very proficient at clamoring. The word damned is highly significant because, of course, in the original Planet of the Apes, we have the word damn being used on a couple of occasions by Charlton Heston as Taylor, the unfortunate astronaut who ends up on the original Planet of the Apes. He has a couple of famous catchphrases where he's shouting at the apes as they're trying to catch him. Get your filthy paws off of me, you damn dirty apes. And then at the end, when he sees he comes across the Statue of Liberty in ruins and realizes that he has returned to Earth hundreds of thousands of years in the future, he of course is shouting, damn them all to hell. So damned, coming up in the context of Planet of the Apes, is highly significant in itself. And then for some reason, Tom Felton's character in the movie Rise of the Planet of the Apes is gifted with two of the famous catchphrases from the original Planet of the Apes. One where he's shouting, it's a madhouse, which is from the original movie, quote from Taylor in the original movie. And then the other is when the apes are grabbing Tom Felton's character, and he says, take your filthy paws off me, you damn dirty apes. So probably not just a coincidence that should have come up like that, but who knows? I am always mystified by what particular code words that seem to be fitting to a particular movie come up when there's a possibility of other code words that could have come up that didn't come up. In this particular case, the word chimpanzee could have come up as a date code word for this particular weekend. You have to realize that date code words, by their very nature, cannot come up every time. They're limited to certain specific weeks of the year that they can come up, and that's what gives them their value. So chimpanzee would have been a very appropriate date code to come up for this Planet of the Apes weekend, but it didn't come up. So what's that about? Why did certain code words that are fitting to the movie come up, but not others? It's all part of the mystery of what's really going on here. Cellular, imbalance, thesis, damned proficient clamoring.
Our drug allows
Cellular,
to repair it.
imbalance, thesis,
They call it a cure.
damned proficient
Move on
clamoring.
to the next phase.
Cellular, imbalance, thesis, damned proficient clamoring.
Is this wrong, Will?
Cellular, imbalance,
change lives.
thesis,
Something's not meant to be changed.
damned proficient clamoring. Cellular, imbalance, thesis,
With one exception.
damned proficient
Radically
clamoring.
functioning. Increase intelligence.
Cellular, imbalance, thesis, damned proficient clamoring. Cellular, imbalance, thesis, damned proficient clamoring.
What have to tell you?
Cellular, imbalance,
No idea what you're
thesis, damned proficient clamoring. Cellular, imbalance, thesis, damned proficient clamoring. Cellular, imbalance, thesis, damned proficient clamoring.
Meet Chimp 9.
Cellular,
We gave him
imbalance,
gene therapy that allows the brain
thesis,
to create its own
damned
cells
proficient
in order to repair
clamoring.
itself. We call it the cure to Alzheimer's.
Cellular, imbalance, thesis, damned proficient clamoring.
Smart one, isn't he?
Oh,
Cellular,
Told him to sign.
imbalance,
just
thesis,
Caesar
damned
continues to show cognitive
proficient
skills that far
clamoring.
exceed that of a human counterpart. The drug
Cellular,
system has radically
imbalance,
boosted healthy brain function.
thesis,
The drug works.
these tests need to be
damned
contained.
proficient clamoring.
Is that a chimpanzee?
Cellular,
You're
imbalance,
not a pet.
thesis, damned proficient clamoring. Cellular, imbalance, thesis, damned proficient clamoring. Cellular, imbalance, thesis,
He hasn't spent
damned proficient clamoring.
now. We're not going home right now.
Cellular, imbalance, thesis, damned proficient clamoring. Cellular, imbalance, thesis, damned proficient clamoring. Cellular, imbalance, thesis, damned
You have no idea what
proficient
you're dealing with.
clamoring. Cellular, imbalance, thesis, damned proficient clamoring. Cellular, imbalance, thesis, damned proficient clamoring. Cellular, imbalance, thesis, damned proficient clamoring. So as you might have gathered from the trailers, Tom Felton's role is as the sadistic caretaker of the apes in the primate sanctuary. But what's peculiar, even though in the dream there's this imagery of a electric force field, and in the movie Tom Felton's character uses an electric cattle prod raking it across the ape cages, causing electrical sparks, which may have been the inspiration for the idea that there was an electrical force field in the dream. And then in the movie, there's clearly scenes involving a keypad combination lock to gain access to restricted areas of the primate facility, which is similar to what occurs in the dream. But the peculiar thing is that the dream itself with Tom Felton never specifically indicates any apes. There's reference in my notes to testers, but it doesn't specifically say that the testers are apes. So that's a very odd omission, and I'm not sure how to explain that. But still, notwithstanding that rather egregious omission, there's no doubt that all of the other key elements from the dream seem to be depicted in the movie, although, of course, there aren't actually auto workers. There are people driving autos. The apes themselves are not working in a factory, but perhaps the fact that there's a tire swing in the primate facility that the apes are playing with somehow suggestive that they were auto workers. I don't know. It's kind of funny.